Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Coming live from Five Heart Children Garden. That's you, and that's you, and that's me, and that's me. I hope all will be. Wanted to just go over a few things, and I had these couple things that came to mind, or maybe revelation, maybe just thoughts. So I was like, a lot of people are worried in the circles I go into about us focusing obviously too much on all the crazy popcorn flying around. I don't mean sitting back and having fun. Now there is a little bit of a extra glistening light in many believers that were I guess you could say ahead of their time, way back when. Maybe they were bringing about information that was just extremely taboo. Now we're in more of a time at 2025 where, well, to be taboo is, well, we're finding that there's always another level of, oh my God. But I'm going to touch on a few things. It might not all go together right, so just pray about it and ask for guidance to sort it out. So I'm going to just only give short, brief ideas that came up. I mean, I feel they were brought to me spiritually. One, I want to get out of the way is I support Marjorie Green. I always try to use the word support. I find she's always been able to admit when she's become too irrational or extreme in her thoughts or expression. You know, I am a little weird about women. My nose just started to itch right here. Didn't itch for hours. That I am a little weird about women in like major leadership roles. I think it really has to be a particular type of personality woman. I really like her, and I think she's a great leader. But then if I really kind of look at the state of Georgia, and a little bit I know about it, I probably don't know enough. I know we've had a lot of people that wanted us to move to Georgia and Florida, and we really tried to be open to the idea, okay? And we know that there's some deep forest areas and rural areas that maybe it would have worked. We just couldn't, we didn't feel it. And I'm going to be quite honest, when we try to really push to look for anything out of the state of Michigan or anywhere else, more stuff breaks. Now it could be getting done, it could just be this. I don't know. Jesus isn't messing around. No one's going to ever understand what has gone on here. Blame it on my drunkenness. Whatever you need to do, you blame it on what you need to blame it on. That we deserve everything we get, or whatever you need to do, okay? I'm here to give you some extremely vital points, and I believe, I'm starting to wonder if I didn't already just say this halfway. No, I didn't. Was just assume when I come on here, I'm feeling that I'm being inspired to express this. Otherwise, I wouldn't come on. Is that maybe many of us are just the holding grace of memory for everyone. What does that mean? It's not meant as an insult. Memory, sometimes even long term, can be adversely affected by trauma and upset. It's been proven. You can't prove me wrong. People that have a strong spiritual constitution sometimes fare a little better than people that don't. But it's all, there's such a wide variety of scenarios. So what I'm trying to say is I believe some of us in the long run, even if we don't have a big following or we don't try to, we know that we're networked, is that, and it's better for us that way. It's kind of like we're being hidden, but is that I think we're people's memory. And then maybe eventually everyone's memories will blend, or not blend, but come together and make a full puzzle with all the pieces. Is in my groups, not my specific groups that doesn't matter. We assumed that the e-files, the current files, and there's so many files that we've never seen that we needed to see. Some of us had information about 9/11. That's not important right now. I don't have that information anymore, guys. I moved around too many times. I never marked the DVDs, and I thought I gave it to freedom lovers, and I didn't mean any harm. I was a citizen of the United States. I was very worried about our freedom. I was worried about Muslim ideology, the bad group one. I know there's good groups. The one that's extreme, infiltrating our country. I've been actually worried about that since I was around 17 or 18. Not like 24/7, but I love being open-minded, and I love the idea of a melting pot, but at the same time, that melting pot thing, I don't even know if that was really an original saying, because really all we did in this country in our short-lived time was just did a lot of genocides, and it's just plain and simple, and there is a punishment to be had. So I believe that we're a memory for a lot of people. Like, I could be a memory for 50 people, and that would make me feel better, is that prior to the full release in Virginia and a couple other victims, or her and another girl, they finally had enough where they could bring this lawsuit to the light. They got Epstein, but see, Epstein was just like, not even, like, he was just the smallest part of this, even though it seems really big. Because when you look at organized crime, you can almost take it and turn it upside down and around, and then that's how you have it. So they always have multiple fall guys, okay? He was a big deal, but not really. He was probably predestined. It was expected for his fall. He knew the fall would come. A lot of the groups work that way, is that someone knows they're going to be the fall guy. When or how, or maybe they're just taken out. And so I think we're people's memory, because I literally thought it would shut the world down, and I believe it did, and I believe COVID and all this was part of that. It will continue to be the same. Most of us that really love Jesus, or just love, we really do love people, although we're accused differently, is we would forgive you. We would have forgiven most of you 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. We would have forgiven most of you, and we probably will proceed to forgive you. But because, and I'm talking to the leaders and stuff right now, but because you've continued to stack and stack, and it's this popcorn thing, like a popcorn thing that you do on the stove or something where it pops up this way. I'm sure everyone's had one experience, or if you had children, you had one experience. I notoriously have mismeasured popcorn. It's always better to go less, but then you don't have enough for everyone. It's better to just do a second batch. Have you ever had where you popped on the stove, or one of those, even the blow one, but I want to see it more this way because it's more like a volcano. They can't stop the popcorn from popping up too high. Do you understand? There's too much popcorn that was suppressed, and it was all sitting there in wake, and it's going to pop. And there ain't nothing that you can do about it or I can do about it. Jesus is allowing it to over pop. You can no longer put the lid on it. The more you try to take other documents to cover these documents, or suppress it here, or throw it away, or burn it, it's going to pop up over here like popcorn. Okay, I'm trying to go with a lighter analogy because there literally is excess volcanoes. And all we can really hope for is after the major solar flares, those will slow down. So I believe we're going to be people's memory, and that's a very good thing. It is not a bad thing. If you're a memory for your fellow human because they were during such a tragic time in history, or environmentally or spiritually they become slightly zombified or messed up, you're the memory for the rest of the human race too, combined with the others that are memory. It's history. So I'm making it more into what it is or isn't, but most people do it on video now. And so it's important to appreciate the memory people, the people that already knew ahead. They don't need to be put on a pedestal, but like maybe even some secret forgive me's we would be should be in place, like ask God to forgive you for what you did to your Warners, those that truly did care. And because look where we are right now. So I believe we should embrace, do you feel like you're a memory? But instead of this concerning us now, well, it should be a major concern, but we can't help other people's memories not working right. It's that be glad that you have the memory for all the others that apparently are not capable of remembering 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 10 years ago. Praise the Lord for those that can literally remember sequence of events enough 30, 40, 50 years ago. Those are really helpful people. They help retain truths. We can all come to the truth. There are ultimate truths. I know it's hard to accept, but then that is not in every area. That is not in every. There is a main group of truths tied in with natural law on human behavior and how we do. Many are not feeling hopeful of the group that seem to be completely reprobated, but we have to still believe there is hope even for the most desolate, because we were the most desolate. Remember? Are we forgetting where we came from? Are we forgetting to the depths of hell or darkness that we entered? Some of us. Or we were raised in the darkness. Are we forgetting where we came from? Where we were headed before the intervention of Jesus Christ our Lord? So we can't stop the popcorns. Do you think that those of us that love Jesus want to see anyone hurt? No. We want everyone to get over to Jesus as soon as possible, because the popcorn's not going to stop. And the more this revealing keeps, it cannot be stopped. I need to really reiterate this. The avalanche is gone. The avalanche has the momentum and the gravity and the shifts of the atmosphere and the spiritual planes and everything to do with Jesus Christ's arrival for judgment, whatever day that is. But this could just be a momentary time of can of whoop ass from Creator God. And the can of whoop ass could go on for 50 years. So brace yourselves for that. But until our leaders at least just do what they're supposed to do and stop these games, the popcorn's going to get worse. You're going to keep hiding files and you're going to wake up and go to your desk. This is just metaphorical. This is not realistic. And there's going to be more piles of those files that you tried to hide. God's going to keep bringing the files up. It's that endless popcorn popping and popping and popping and popping. And you know how the popcorn can stop popping and overflowing all over the earth? Is to admit you're wrong and let's move forward. If you've been excessively sick and disgusting to get your power, you must move to Mar-a-Lago. That is where all of you must reside. We don't have the time or the money or any of it to deal with you and your bullshit. All you perverts, go to the island and stay there. End of story. Don't leave. You will be treated as if you were on prison with a little softer, but not too soft. You will not leave the island. That's my political and spiritual conclusions to the problem, because it is wasting valuable time to get people to the Lord. All these lies and cover-ups, the popcorn is not going to stop. Enough is enough. You have broken treaties you never fixed with the Native Americans of this land. The ones that finally bent over to you. Government. You have treaties that you lied on the day of the signing of the treaties. And I'm not going to stop going over this. You never amended or fixed the treaties or the money owed to the tribes. And now we have heapings upon heapings of popcorn problems. And there's too much popcorn and it's popping everywhere and you can't stop it. So go back to the beginning and fix it. And if you don't, it's going to keep happening. And the files are just going to keep accumulating. And all the cover-ups. And it's going to give you nightmares to the end of your days. That's it. That is not a threat. That is a direct message from Spirit. You are going to have nightmares so that you cannot keep doing this. So we have hundreds of years. We're just going to focus on this country for a moment, if I can possibly do that. But we're going to be talking about Canada, North America, and Mexico. And abroad, Puerto Rico, the islands, the Virginia Islands. Just act like Mar-a-Lago doesn't exist. Put them all there and let them do whatever it is they do with one another. You're not allowed any access to any children anymore, you sick fucks. Is this. It's too many hundreds of years. This is inevitable. You take your mumbo jumbo about making people, yes, you have to focus on the positive. That's an obvious to get through day to day to day. But this mumbo jumbo acting like we're going to shift, this is not being shifted. This is appointed by Christ Jesus. For some reason, it didn't matter how many millions of like-minded people could come together about the matters that matter. Maybe it did help. But the thing is that the popcorn didn't stop. And they kept trying to cover more popcorn with other popcorn to distract from this other madness over here. And now they made a big mess. So, and it's, and the popcorn's rotten now. And I don't even know, it takes a long time for popcorn to rot. But if it's got butter and stuff on it, then it's going to rot quicker. So you had a bunch of buttery popcorn mess going on. And that's that. That's what you need to focus on is, I said I started looking at mountain towns in Brazil. This is a joke between my brokenness and the Lord, is that I'm like, why am I looking in Brazil? Like, I mean, that's one place I never really explored to live in, but there's apparently these really cool little mountain towns, and they're like little villages and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, I don't think the south of Brazil is going to be in a good state of like the flood, with the flash floods and stuff. Yeah, well, that was exactly what was going on. And then, but now all this Mannheim in Brazil. So for some reason, see, like these things, like why are they're doing this crap with the e-files, and look at Brazil. They're sneaking in the UN climate conference again. These whack jobs. Oh my God. So, and while all you're worried about, nobody's just worried about the names. And this needs to be clarified. Humans can multitask focus. We can focus on more than one event at one time. And if you're not someone that can do that, there's hundreds of thousands of other people that can. Okay, so don't worry about that. If you can't multitask that many ideas at once, then just leave it to the groups that can. Because there's plenty of us that still want our answers met. But the time is ticking. And you've made a real mess of the holidays for people that believe in the holidays. And I wanted to give up Thanksgiving probably 40 years ago, more. I started digging around as a child as to what sort of demented group of people would make such a disgusting type of holiday, but then try to lather it in Jesus, and then we all have to come together and love one another. And that the Indians, and I don't even believe the Indians and them ate together. And if they did eat together, that was probably when they poisoned them and started to disease the last of the Indians in that little group. Because I'm not going to keep arguing with my elders about this, but there is a group that came over on the Mayflower, and they're not what you think they were. This didn't just happen by osmosis, and you ignore the original problem, and the original problem is what has grown into this problem now. That is not me being stuck in the past. It is hundreds of years of lies. In one small country of United States of America, heaping in disgusting events of human experiment and sacrifice. And God has given us plenty of time, and now we will be the biggest farce and go down as the most disgusting country in the world because of acts like our leaders and all these games and all these cover-ups. So have fun. Have fun with that. We're all going to go down and we're all going to be embarrassed. And most of us already are. So, a small group I visit, she says, and this is about Jesus, seek me while you can find me. Because there are times when it gets like that, and I don't care what anyone says, you can always get to Jesus. But there are times where he can seem extremely far away, and those are called the dark ages, and we are there, we are in it, and we have to endure it. And but I'm not one of those that lies and says you have to do it like you're super happy all the time. I mean, do your best to keep the joy and the peace of the Lord and that extra glistening in some people's eyes. They still don't want you to perish, so it's just that so many of us waited so long. It could have been longer, and some of us almost didn't live to see it, just to finally see a lot of this come to light. And it isn't that we want people shamed. Okay, many of us come from very shameful pasts, shameful mistakes. We just want the truth. And we know what it is to be down and dirty. We know what it is to be up more in the light. We know what it is to kind of be on the fence. And we know just too much maybe than we should have known. But that was the way the Lord played it out. So seek the Lord before it even becomes more difficult to seek his face. And that's the same to do with darkness. And the best way to learn about what it's like to dabble with darkness is find yourself some good old-fashioned testimonies of people that left gangs or were brought up in the occult or went into the occult, left Jesus and dabbled and then tried to get out of it. And just see what it's like to have to try to crawl your way back to Jesus. He'll let you back in full-heartedly. But the light is stronger than darkness. But there wouldn't be so much discussed about the entrapments of darkness if it wasn't a real thing. Because deep down, we are pretty wretched. Every last one of us is wretched. You know what I mean? And, just because I remember, the side that I want to remember, we all have the side I remember. I can still remember, regardless if I was scared of my caretakers, if I was that scared of them, and I was that, this is just ridiculous to bring this up, but what I'm trying to say is that we all have the propensity to be monsters. And we have the propensity to be non-monsters and human beings. If I already knew that the ones running the house were scary, why would I test the waters? And I only tested a couple early ones, and I was a toddler, and I remember them because I think it was so that I knew how far these people go. So she'd already said, don't do that, but she wouldn't give me anything to do art with. I remember this. I didn't even have any she just was a mess. So that's poor lady. Aw, stayed for money. Oh, poor baby. Is that I don't have any crayons. I don't have any paper, but I know I'm not supposed to be drawing on a wall with maybe the crayon I found. I don't have any. Well, I did have crayons, right? So maybe I didn't have enough paper. Or maybe I just wanted to draw on the wall because I felt inspired, and I did feel very inspired creatively, but it was probably the LSD or whatever the doctors were giving me as a baby. She chased me around that old farmhouse. We were in an old farmhouse that time, and went like this, okay? So the steps are in the middle, so every room was like a circle, So each room was off that one hall. There was another hall, you know what I mean? You know, it don't make no sense, but just say it's a circle. You could run around the house. It was funny, and it would be funny to a toddler. She already said don't do the thing on the wall with the crayon. I'm looking at him like you can't barely see it. You know, I'm over in the corner. What's the big deal? I did it again just to see what she'd do. And, well, she scared the shit out of me. And she chased me around that circle till she gave me a good whack. And I remember turning around and looking at her and thinking, that was too hard for that, or whatever that little rebellious mind of mine was saying. And you know, and you're going to say a toddler's mind wouldn't work like that. Well, it did. And we were over at the road on Cemetery. We only lived there till I was barely 5. So I do remember. And I had a diaper. So I remember that. And but I was walking and probably trying to talk. And I remember looking over my shoulder and saying, oh, what are you going to do now, huh? So see, we all have it in us, and I still have a little bit of that. And God just had to maneuver it, but no one's going to agree with what all went down around here. And you know what? That's your problem. Go to the Lord about it. To try to even explain this testimony of the last 20 years of what me and John have seen and gone through as friends is unbelievable. And we met in August of 06. But the devil didn't take off on us until my son wanted help. And I had to start having some discussions with the state for the last time. And that was 2008. And it has gotten nothing but worse for us with the government. And a friend of mine, be it he deserved it or not, I think he still took the fall or self-planted. But he had been involved in some stuff. I think these whack job psychopathic cops tie in something with me that I would know. Yeah, I know enough, but not enough. So don't worry about it no more. But he's doing prison life, and I don't think he's supposed to be there. And I don't believe it would be in my heart if I wasn't supposed to care. And that's the last thing I'd want to think about. What gave me the red flag is that I barely saw the family in the last 10 years or more since he's been locked up. And sloppy narcissists, old, they would bring him up. And I knew that he was then a scapegoat for the perverts and the people that raised me. And I caught stuff, and it's just a very long story, and it's going to be the end of me, is what it is. But it was never my fault. I wasn't seeking to be a witness. I was not seeking to be a witness of people that did not have a witness. And that is exactly what it was, is that I was a witness of people that didn't have someone to protect them. And I let those ones know that I knew, and there was things that were spoken of to stop the child exploitation madness. And that I had a force come up against me that I had no clue what was going on. Okay, so we're just going to go over that real quick. I have been drugged and stalked so many times, it is disturbing. That was way back when I was dealing with these younger people that needed help, and I had to do it on the best down low that I could, and or I don't believe I'd be here to talk about it today. And it's supposed to help someone, and this was a very long video to say, those are the updates, and I'll get off this stupid video and say, how did I forget that one? So we have the memory, we have the popcorn. This shift with Brazil, this is a big one. This is bad though. They've involved the tribal down there. So, the indigenous of the land. So, activists, this isn't good. This isn't good. That's really bad. And God said, look at Brazil. It was like 3 weeks ago. And there are really cute villages down there, by the way. Like, super adorable. And German flair. I think the one is a German flair. There's a lot of the German, the French flair to the villages, the structures. hidden away in these little valleys in the mountains. Snow on the ice caps in the morning while you sip your tea or coffee or latte. Okay. Well, anyhow, just you have a good one. And God's kings and queens, they exist. The royal priesthood, and they're here. And they've been patient, and they've taken a lot of beatings, and more so. And they're going to continue to do so. And you can't hide the popcorn from popping no more. You have no control over it. You all messed up, you leaders.